Today, we're talking about tank versus tankless water heaters. So, I've been in facilities maintenance for 20 years now. I have an apprentice plumbing license here in the state of Colorado. During the course of my job, I work on water heaters, both tank type water heaters and tankless. So that's where my background is on this subject. So just so we're comparing prices honestly, this screen clip is from HomeDepot.com, and for a tankless water heater, you're looking at an average price of $1,551, and this is manufactured by Rinnai, and this one is 9 gallons per minute, rated for 160,000 BTUs, and it uses natural gas, and it's designed to be mounted on the interior of your home. Some tankless water heaters can be mounted on the outside, but these are the ones that I encounter mostly. So again, you're looking at $1,500 just for the water heater itself, not including install or additional costs associated with installing a tankless water heater that we'll get into a little while later. Whereas if you look at a tank type water heater pricing, you're looking at $569. So a tankless is going to be almost 3 times the cost of a standard tank type natural gas water heater. And this one's a 40 gallon and has a rating of 36,000 BTU. And of course they do make electric tank type water heaters and electric tankless, but today we're focusing on gas. So these labels are taken directly off of my tank type water heater in my house. These specs. So mine is a 40 gallon natural gas, 40,000 BTU. The recovery is 42.02 gallons per hour. And you can see the gas pressure in inches of water column. And on the right hand side, you see a sticker that tells you in the first hour how much hot water you get of use. So you get 80 gallons in the first hour. Now again, your cost will depend on your utility rates in your area and your usage. So obviously, if you have a household with 3 people compared to a household with 10 people, obviously that larger household is going to consume more gas. It's going to cost more money. Now, here's a snapshot of my most recent gas bill, and this was from August to September of 2022. The only 2 appliances in my house, 3 appliances that use gas is my fireplace, my water heater, and my furnace. However, during the summer months, the only appliance that uses natural gas is my water heater. So you can see I'm spending roughly an average of just shy of $30 a month to operate my tank type water heater. So roughly $1 a day to operate that tank type water heater. So in my opinion, I don't think that's too bad of a price. Now again, I know everybody's utility company is going to charge different rates depending on the time of year and where you live. But this is just a real world example I wanted to give you. Okay, so if you look at the internals of a tankless water heater, they're much more complex than a tank type water heater, whether we're talking electric or gas. This one happens to be gas. You have your inlet and outlet at the top of the unit for fresh air in, fresh air out. You have your either a stainless steel or a copper heat exchanger. You have all the electronics. There's a PC board. There's a control board on the front panel. There's solenoid valves. There's an electric blower fan. And majority, or I shouldn't say the majority, all water heater manufacturers will usually give you a error code chart or key, which tells you if the screen is flashing error code, for example, 00, probable cause is a power failure while standby switch on. Switch the heater to standby and then on again. And you can look down this list. There can be several error codes that can occur with these tankless water heaters. Some are more complex than others. Some are more difficult to fix, more expensive to fix than others. So when it comes to repairing and diagnosing a tankless water heater, the average homeowner may not feel comfortable making that diagnosis because, again, you can see how complicated they are on the inside. Whereas with an electric tank type water heater or a gas tank type water heater, they're a much more simple design, very few parts. They're a lot easier to diagnose. The parts are usually more readily available and much less expensive compared to what you're going to pay for repair parts on a tankless water heater. And if you don't repair it yourself and you hire an outside plumber, then you also have to factor in their labor cost on top of the cost of the parts. So additional costs of tankless water heaters. So the labor. If you're building a brand new house, that labor will be factored into the build of the house. But again, tankless, it's still upfront cost is going to be more expensive than a tank type water heater. Now, if your current water heater has failed and you're looking to buy a new one and you want to switch from a tank type to a tankless, there's going to be additional labor costs to plumb in the vent piping, the fresh air intake. You may have to upsize your existing gas line because the tankless water heaters run at a much higher BTU rating than the standard tank type water heaters do. So to get the proper amount of gas flow, volume of gas, you're going to need to generally upsize that gas pipe. So that's additional cost. If you have a condensing unit, that condensate drain line has to be able to go to a floor drain or into a little condensate drain pump. And then that condensate drain line needs to be plumbed out somewhere safely and properly and code compliant, of course. And then annual flushing. Tankless water heaters, you can get away with not flushing them. Some plumbers do highly recommend flushing tank type water heaters, but tankless water heaters, you can't not flush them. If you don't flush your tankless water heaters, the minerals and calcium and sediment will build up inside, particularly in the heat exchanger, and it'll reduce the efficiency of the unit. It'll cause error codes, and if it's bad enough, it can actually cause a unit to shut down where you have no water flow coming out of the tankless, or you'll have no hot water, or you'll run out of hot water, or low water pressure. So to avoid costly, expensive breakdowns of your tankless water heater, you really have to flush them once a year. You can use several gallons of vinegar and a little circulation pump where you hook up to the maintenance valves. Or you can buy it's like an acidic descaler chemical, and then you mix that with water, and then the same thing, you do that in a 5-gallon bucket. You have a sump pump that sits in there and it recirculates that descaler through the heat exchanger and gets rid of all that scale and mineral buildup. And again, you also need to clean and replace the cold water inlet filter, because there too, if that clogs up or becomes too badly corroded, that will cause problems and error codes with your tankless water heater. So pros versus cons of a tankless water heater. Pros, when they're on and that burner kicks on, you do have endless hot water. So yeah, if you have 10 people that live in your house and each person takes a shower right after the other person, everybody should have hot water. And I say may reduce your utility bill because if you think about it, that tankless gas-fired water heater not only is consuming gas, but to run all the electronics on that tankless water heater, like that blower motor, fan, the PC board, the solenoid valves, that all consumes electricity. Whereas with a standard tank type gas-fired water heater, they do not consume any electricity. Now, if you have one of the high efficiency, tank type water heaters where it's got the fan on top, then that's a different story. But again, we're talking about just a standard, normal tank type gas water heater compared to a gas-fired tankless water heater. Tankless water heaters, of course, can be hung on a wall, so they do take up a little bit less floor space. And now the cons of a tankless water heater. It takes a while to get hot water to the shower head. There's a misconception out there in the world that if you have a tankless water heater, you have instant hot water. That's simply not true. Because if you think about it, say you go to work all day, you come home in the evening and you take a shower, well, that tankless has been sitting there all day long off. So the water in your hot water pipes is cold. The water inside the tankless is cold. You turn the water on to take a shower, the burner kicks on, it starts heating up the water, but you have to push all that cold water out of the pipe between the tankless and your shower head. So it's not instant hot water. Again, higher upfront cost. They're usually 3 times as expensive compared to a standard tank type water heater. And it's a higher labor cost, especially if it's a retrofit where you're switching from a tank type to a tankless. Potentially higher ongoing maintenance costs. Again, as we spoke about before, you got to flush them once a year, change or clean out that inline fresh water, the cold water inlet filter. And again, more complicated internals, more expensive repair parts. The repair parts may not be as readily available as they are for a tank type water heater. And then if you have a condensing model, they do make non-condensing tankless water heaters, but we're talking about the high efficiency condensing models. That condensate has to go to a drain. If you don't have a drain, then you need to get a condensate drain pump to pump that condensate to a drain. And then the other weakness or con about tankless water heaters is your water pressure can be reduced during high use times. So say you go in and take your shower and somebody starts a load of laundry, or somebody starts the dishwasher, or they're washing their hands or shaving or brushing their teeth in another bathroom, you may find a reduction in your water pressure at your shower. So I hope this information helps. Please like, share, subscribe, leave me a comment for future video topics you'd like me to cover. I thank you for watching today. I hope this video helps you better decide if a tankless or a tank type water heater is better for your specific circumstance. Again, thanks for watching.